Do you need to bother with estate settlement if your loved one left you a relatively small inheritance? One of the questions we usually hear is, Attorney, our parent died recently, but there was just a small amount left in the bank account in a small lot in the province. Do we still need to do estate settlement for this? They seem so small and I don't want to go through the hassle, the trouble, and the expense.
If you can relate to this, stay tuned. The answer to this may surprise you.
This video is brought to you by the Estate Settlement Guide, the fastest way to orient surviving family members when a loved one passes away. It will guide you through the next steps your family needs to take so you don't incur penalties and you transfer the properties to the heirs properly. Go to info.legalguide.ph/estate to learn more. Welcome to Legal Guide Philippines, where we simplify the law to help you make better choices. I'm Attorney Erwin Sagala and I'm with my partner.
Attorney Ramon Ramirez.
So today we're talking about estate settlement. Let's start by teaching you what that is.
So, generally speaking, it is a process that you do when someone dies to take care of their remaining assets. And you do this with three things. Using three things. First is you determine what assets were owned by the deceased. Second, you decide how to distribute the assets to the heirs. Last, you distribute the properties through the proper channels. Now, when we teach clients and students in our estate settlement guide, we call this the 3D process for estate settlement.
Now, let's talk about why you should pay attention to doing this even if you think the property left is small. I can name three reasons. First, it's required by the law to be done. There is no exception under the law where it says there's a threshold amount that exempts you from doing estate settlement. You still have to file the papers. Now, you may be thinking, Attorney, I heard that there was a threshold. Yes, there is a threshold, but that pertains to estate tax payments for the computations on how much you should pay the government. That threshold does not excuse you from filing the papers and notifying the government in the first place. Again, just to be clear, whether or not you file isn't dependent on the amount of assets left. Everyone is required to do estate settlement on estates. Now, you may still be thinking, Attorney, I get that, but I still feel it is impractical to file. Maliit lang yung property. Okay, if you still feel that way, I think the best thing to do would be to consult a lawyer. So you are aware of the risks in case you choose not to file anything.
Thank you, Attorney Irwin. And now let's go to the second reason. Second reason is you may insist, possible that you say, but attorney, what if it's such a small property? Is it really still worth it? You know what? That doesn't matter. Without settlement of estate, you won't be able to transfer it or make full use of it down the line. Without transferring it to yourself, you won't be able to transfer it further to your heirs. So basically, you know what? You're creating problems for them, in the future. And we've seen this happen so many times.
I don't think you want to do that.
Also, you won't be able to make full use of it as an owner. You won't be able to sell it, well, not immediately, or you won't be able to mortgage it if you want to take out a loan.
Finally, if you don't do it, you may be subjected to a penalty. It will get bigger. So if the past reasons were not able to convince you, I think this will.
Yeah.
Even if it's such a small amount that you have to pay the government, or in some cases you don't even need to pay because
Right.
the assets left is small. In case there are penalties, that gets interest, so it will get bigger the longer you put it off.
Correct.
Now, let's talk about estate settlement and how you do it. Attorney Irwin, you've been successful. You and Attorney Ramon were able to convince me to take a look at this. Now, let us give you the broad strokes of how to do estate settlement. As discussed by Attorney Ramon earlier, first, you have to find out what properties have to be accounted for and included. Again, this is the determine phase. Next, after you determine what is included, you then decide how you want to distribute. There are two general ways of doing it: judicial or extrajudicial settlement of estate. If you listen to our workshop, of course, we recommend extrajudicial. Now, here, there's another decision point that you have to make. You have to decide who gets which property. Again, this is phase number two, the decide phase. Finally, once you've decided, you then get to distribute. So in the distribute phase, you then get in touch with the different government agencies. So you get to transfer the titles to the designated heirs. I think it's that simple. If you want to learn more, you can always enroll in the estate settlement guide, or you may consult a legal team of your choice. They would be a good starting point to get started with handling this.
So what happens if you follow this process? Well, for land, you get the titles in the name of the heirs, and they can enjoy it fully. Obviously, there will be no penalties, and there is a chance that you can minimize their taxes. Now, to recap, you have to do estate settlement no matter how small the inheritance is. It is required by law. Okay, and we also discussed our three phases for estate settlement. What is it again? Determine, decide, and distribute. If you like this video, please give us a like or a thumbs up. It lets us know what kind of information you find helpful so we can create more for you. And if you learn something, please share it with your family and friends so it helps them as well.
So was it that simple?
Now go make better choices.